It's that time of year again where EA and Codemasters released a new F1 game. This year brings updates to the car models, the handling model, and also brings back braking points. EA have stated that this year brings balance changes to MyTeam facilities as well as the facilities of the real teams in order to reflect their real world standings. In this video we are going to put that to the test and also see what the next 10 years in Formula 1 will bring to the sport. Will we see some shock winners, crazy driver moves, or even a Williams winning the championship? Before we begin, YouTube Analytics says that only 17.2% of my viewers are subscribed, so if you are not, scroll down and hit the big subscribe button as it would be greatly appreciated. As we start in the Season 1, all the drivers are at their current teams to represent the 2023 season. Much like real life, Red Bull managed to secure the Constructors' Championship, with Mercedes and Ferrari being both fairly close behind. When it comes to the Drivers' Championship, the results are pretty similar, with the Ferrari driver of Charles Leclerc finishing in third, the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton in second, and the Red Bull driver of Max Verstappen takes the championship in Season 1. He managed to secure 9 race wins this season, with Hamilton winning 7, Russell 4, Perez won 2 and Leclerc only managed to win 1 race. Alonso hasn't quite managed to reenact the form he's had in real life and results in a P7 finish. This results in Fernando Alonso finally deciding to retire from Formula 1, with the Ferrari driver of Charles Leclerc taking his seat. This opened up a seat at Ferrari for Lewis Hamilton to move to following the real life rumours. Mercedes decide to stick with the all British lineup as their young Lando Norris finally escapes McLaren and takes Hamilton's seat. Yuki Tsunoda capitalises on this and moves to McLaren, with Nico Hülkenberg moving to AlphaTauri. Logan Sargent moves from Williams to Haas, allowing Lance Stroll to return to his former team. Aston Martin decide to go with the rookie of Theo Pourchaire to line up alongside Leclerc next season. A trio of swaps causes Albon to move to Haas, De Vries to Williams, and Magnussen to AlphaTauri. There may be some changes for next season though, as there are regulation changes to both powertrain and the durability departments. Moving on into Season 2, and Red Bull struggle to retain their Constructors' Championship, as Mercedes have completely dominated this year. Ferrari stay second with their rivals swapping places. The former Ferrari driver of Charles Leclerc finished third in the Constructors again, with George Russell finishing in second. The Mercedes dominance was capped off with Lando Norris not only winning his first F1 race, but also wins the Drivers' Championship in his first season with Mercedes. He managed to win 7 races this season, 6 of them starting from pole. Russell was next with 6 wins, and Leclerc was close behind winning 5. Hamilton won 2 races with his new team, while Max Verstappen, Carlos Sainz and Pierre Gasly all won 1 race each. At the end of this season, over half of the grid have decided to change teams. This starts with Lewis Hamilton retiring from Formula 1 and the young talent of Theo Pourchaire taking his place. Nick De Vries then moves on from Williams into the Aston Martin, with Zhou Guanyu moving to Williams. A free seat at Alfa Romeo means Nico Hülkenberg swaps from one Alfa to another. Pierre Gasly returns to the AlphaTauri team, with Bottas making the switch to Alpine. Another open seat at Alfa Romeo allows Alex Albon to change teams, with Kevin Magnussen returning to Haas. Logan Sargent moves to AlphaTauri, making it his 3rd team in 3 seasons. Lance Stroll moves over to Haas, allowing Felipe Drugovich to make his Formula 1 debut. Season 3 results in another Constructors' Championship for Mercedes and their 2nd in a row, scoring almost 1,000 points. Red Bull managed to improve on last season as they move up to 2nd, while Ferrari dropped to 4th. Max Verstappen returns to the top 3 of the Drivers' Championship, with both Mercedes drivers making up the top 2. Lando Norris isn't able to retain his championship this year, meaning the new champion of George Russell is crowned. Russell managed to win more than half of the races this season, while Norris won 7. Verstappen took 3 wins and Ocon won the last race. After a crazy amount of driver moves last season, this season was a lot more calm. Nico Hülkenberg has retired from Formula 1, with Theo Pourchaire returning to Alfa Romeo to replace him. Lance Stroll takes a step up from Haas to Ferrari, with Roy Nissany making his debut at Haas. Regulation changes could play a large part in next season, as changes will be made to both the aero department and the chassis department. Mercedes continue to dominate Formula 1 with their 3rd consecutive Constructors' Championship. Red Bull and Alpine remain in 2nd and 3rd, with Ferrari dropping even further down to P5. The top 3 remain the same, with George Russell winning consecutive Drivers' Championships, Lando Norris finishing P2 and Max Verstappen rounds off the top 3. Russell improves on last season, with winning 13 races, allowing only Norris to win 6. Charles Leclerc returned to the top step in 2 races this season, with Valtteri Bottas and Max Verstappen both winning once. Only one driver swap happened heading into Season 5, with the Alpine driver of Valtteri Bottas returning to the team that gave him his Formula 1 debut in Williams. Felipe Drugovich will then make the move from Williams to Alpine. Slight changes to the regulations mean the durability departments will change, but this will not affect overall performance. Not a lot of changes into Season 5, with Mercedes remaining on top with Red Bull just behind. Alpine struggled this season though and dropped to P5, with both Aston Martin and Ferrari overtaking them. Lando Norris fails to finish P2 again, as he only manages to finish 3rd. Max Verstappen overtakes Lando this season and secures 2nd place in the championship, allowing George Russell to win his 3rd championship, equaling the likes of Niki Lauda and Ayrton Senna. It was a close battle between Russell and Verstappen, with George winning 10 races and Verstappen winning 9. Lando Norris only managed to win 3 races this season, with Charles Leclerc winning once. Driver moves this season are sparked by the retirement of Red Bull driver Sergio Perez. Esteban Ocon wants to win more races by moving away from Alpine and into the promising Red Bull. This leaves his open seat at Alpine, allowing Dennis Hauger to make his Formula 1 debut. Valtteri Bottas returned to Williams for his final season, as he retires at the end of Season 5. Alex Albon then returns to Williams, allowing Zhou to also return to Alfa Romeo. Another debutant in Liam Lawson will take the last open seat. A lot could happen going into the 6th season, as regulation changes will be made to the aero, chassis and powertrain departments. Those regulation changes were not enough to stop Mercedes from winning their 5th championship in a row, and Red Bull remained in P2. An absolutely horrendous season from Ferrari, even with 2 very capable drivers of Carlos Sainz and Lance Stroll, as they dropped to P7. A new face in the top 3 this season, with the new Red Bull driver of Esteban Ocon manages to sneak his way up. Max Verstappen puts up a fight but finishes P2, and not enough to beat the Mercedes driver of Lando Norris. Russell really struggled this year, only winning 4 races, causing him to finish in P4. Lando managed to win 8 races, with Verstappen winning 6. Moving to Red Bull really worked out for Ocon, as he manages to win 2 races this season. Also finishing the season with 2 wins is a new race winner in the Alpine of Dennis Hauger. Charles Leclerc also managed to win once. No drivers retire at the end of Season 6, however there are a lot of driver moves. After a rough season at Ferrari, Lance Stroll returns to his father's team at Aston Martin, with Leclerc returning to Ferrari. Nick de Vries loses his seat in the Aston Martin, with Yuki Tsunoda taking his place. This opens up a seat at McLaren for Pierre Gasly to take, with Liam Lawson moving to AlphaTauri. Roy Nissany and the new race winner of Dennis Hauger swap seats for Season 7. Nick de Vries is fortunate enough that an open seat at Williams is where he will be racing for next season. The lack of regulation changes allows Mercedes to stay at the top of the Constructors' Championship, just edging out the Red Bull team. Ferrari utilised their original pairing of Sainz and Leclerc and jumped back up to P3 in the Constructors. Moving into the Drivers' Championship, the Mercedes driver of Lando Norris finished in P3, with his teammate missing out on the championship by just 2 points. This means that the Red Bull driver of Max Verstappen takes the Drivers' Championship in Season 7. Norris was unlucky, as he wins the most races this season with 7, with Verstappen winning just 6. P2 Russell won 5 races, with Verstappen's teammate of Ocon winning 4. Charles Leclerc continues his run of winning at least once. At the end of the season, we say goodbye to the veteran driver of Kevin Magnussen, opening up a seat in Haas. Lance Stroll has fallen out with his dad, it seems, as he moves away from Aston Martin to the Haas. Dennis Hauger believes he made a mistake moving to Haas, as he moves to Aston Martin. An open seat in the Haas allows for the young driver of Jack Doohan to make his debut in Formula 1. Hopefully there will be some different results next season, as this season ends with regulation changes to the aero and durability departments. Mercedes remain at the top for Season 8 as they win their 7th championship in a row. Red Bull stay second, with Aston Martin in 3rd. Ferrari drop a place to 4th, and Alpine finish in P5. Max Verstappen isn't able to complete back-to-back championships, as he only manages a P3 finish. The Mercedes driver of George Russell completes a consecutive 2nd place, with his teammate Lando Norris winning the Drivers' Championship. Lando dominated this season, winning 9 of the 23 races. George Russell wasn't too far behind, winning 6 races, with the Red Bull of Verstappen winning just 4. His teammate Esteban Ocon managed to secure 2 wins, with Charles Leclerc winning once to continue his streak. A new race winner comes this season in the form of the Brazilian Alpine driver of Felipe Drugovich. All the teams must be happy with their driver lineups, as absolutely 0 drivers decide to jump ship to another team. The only change going into next season will be some regulation changes to the chassis department. The chassis regulation changes were still not enough to stop the domination of Mercedes. They win the Constructors' Championship again for the 8th time in a row. Red Bull stay in P2, with Ferrari, Aston Martin and Alpine making up the top half. The same top 3 occurs this season, with the Mercedes of George Russell finishing on the bottom step, with Max Verstappen in P2. This means that Lando Norris takes the Drivers' Championship for the 4th time in this simulation. Once again, he wins 9 races this season, with Verstappen winning 6. Russell only won 4, with Ocon winning twice. Felipe Drugovich loved the taste of winning so much last season that he decided to do it again. Once again, we have a new race winner. This season's comes in the form of the Aston Martin driver of Dennis Hauger. Only a few driver moves take place going into season 10 after the Williams driver of Nick De Vries retired. He is replaced by Vips. Carlos Sainz in the Ferrari also decides it's his time to hang up the steering wheel and is strangely replaced by Roy Nissany. This allows Leclerc to leave Ferrari, giving them a brand new lineup as he moves to Alpine. The final Ferrari seat is then taken by a new driver of Frederick Vesti. Since season 10 is the last season, a lot of the drivers change teams mid-season. This starts off with Roy Nissany losing his seat at Ferrari and is replaced by none other than Max Verstappen. The open Red Bull seat is then taken by Charles Leclerc, creating a very strange sight. Yuki Tsunoda moves away to Alpine, allowing Roy Nissany to finish his season with Aston Martin. Max Verstappen also gets a new teammate in the form of his long-term rival of Lando Norris as he swaps seats with Frederick Vesti. Despite all these mid-season transfers, Mercedes still retain their Constructors' Championship in this last season. Red Bull finishes second with Ferrari in third. The ex-Mercedes now Ferrari driver of Lando Norris finishes in third place with Frederick Vesti doing very well to finish P2. The ex-Red Bull driver and now Ferrari driver of Max Verstappen takes the final Drivers' Championship in this simulation. Vesti actually managed to win the most races with 6 and Russell just behind with 5. Both Lando Norris and Max Verstappen won 4 races this season, with Ocon and Leclerc both winning twice. As we have a look at the overall stats of the 10 seasons, only 2 different teams won the Constructors, with Red Bull winning the first and Mercedes winning the rest. Only 3 drivers won a Drivers' Championship, with George Russell winning 4 and Verstappen and Norris winning 3. 13 different drivers managed to pick up at least 1 win in 10 years, with George Russell winning the most with 69.
Nice.
Norris wasn't too far behind with 60, and then it goes down to Verstappen with 49. Those 3 were really in a league of their own this simulation, as 4th place Charles Leclerc only won 14 races. Ocon was close behind with 13 wins and then down to Hamilton with 9. Despite only racing for 1 season, Frederick Vesti gave himself a good account by winning 6 F1 races. Dennis Hauger managed to secure 3 race wins, Drugovich and Perez finished with 2 each, and the drivers of Sainz, Gasly and Bottas all won once in 10 years. But that is going to wrap up this simulation, and if you guys enjoyed it, please leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. I am planning to do quite a few more of these simulations throughout the year. I've got a few ideas, but if you've got any more, let me know in the comments below. Also, let me guys know if you want to see anything else on the new game, whether that be a driver career or a MyTeam career. Just let me know in the comments and I will try and get on that. But that is it for this video. Go and watch some of my other videos if you haven't already, and from me, goodbye.